Well, look what we have here.
We're going to see how well this is.
Wow, let me just tell you, I haven't seen these type of women who are on here right now. Hello. All right, there we go.
Can you hear me?
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right.
You ready for this excitement?
I don't know. I kind of feel like I'm in the hot seat.
She is. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. How we all doing today? Okay. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Happy Friday to everybody. It is Figured Out Friday. We got some newbies on here today. So if this is your first, hold on a second, guys. You see that? That's called the sun. We don't really see that very often. Just excited to see the sun today. So Facebook world, good morning to you. For those that are on Zoom for the first time, please say good morning. Put it in the chat. Put it in where you're from. Wish everybody a Merry Christmas. Just very, very excited. We got Sarah here, April. We got Gail and Greg and Jill. Lori's here. Joe, Amy, we got Claudia coming in. So we're going to get everybody coming in here, Facebook world. Please feel free to say good morning to us, because we get excited in the Facebook world as well. So I am going to be looking at a couple things as we get started here today. For those, I calculated it out, everybody. I calculated it out. And this is the last one of 2022. The last one of 2022. I say this not to impress you. I just say it because I like numbers. This is number. Wait a minute. Mike Castor is coming on here. So I got to make sure Mike Castor gets on here. This is number 255 times I've done this year.
Wow.
So I only miss 1 week, and it will be the last week, which will be next week, is the only time period I take off. Somebody actually gave me a hard time, and I said, listen, no problem at all. I said, you do 255 next year, and we will battle, because I don't like to lose, and I will challenge you, but you got to get to 255 first. So it's a little grueling sometimes. I'm not going to lie to you. Wendy and I will be on vacation, and she's like, do you have to do your call? I'm like, yeah, I got to do my call. My kids.
What are you talking about? I'm usually asleep while you're doing your call.
Very, very true. She is sleepy. But I'm always like, I'm really excited, guys, because it's not very often I get to not be on this. So I love you guys, but I'm really looking forward to rejuvenating and being in New York, my family, my kids. So let's get ourselves started today, because we have a good one on Figure It Out Friday. So good morning, everybody. For those of the first time on here, my name is Brock Zevan. I'm a life coach, business coach, real estate agent, and a dad. I'm also in a relationship, and you're going to see my better half. I asked her this week, I said, you know what? I think with the last one that we have, I think it would be phenomenal that you come on here and you be Figured Out Friday, because for those that know Wendy and for those that don't know Wendy, she has an amazing story. I remember we were in Hickory one time. She was getting her hair done, and she really opened up to me. And I was like, kind of like blown away. We must have talked, I don't even know for how many hours. And I was like, wow, I had no idea about any of that type of stuff. But here's the thing. We all have relationships. We've all been in challenges. We've all had certain things take place. And so Figured Out Friday, when I started sharing it and building it more and more, it just started it's like a snowball. It just started becoming bigger and bigger. And good morning, Todd and Karen in Facebook world, and Sarah and Jill. And so what happened is like I start talking to other people and everything else. And I said, Wendy, I think you'd be the perfect fit for us to end it on, because we are not any different than anybody else. We have challenges in our relationship. We have family. We have business. We've been divorced. We've had all these different things. And so I came up with some questions to ask Wendy, and I wanted to share with you about our life. This sets the stage for those that want to know more about our life and know more about us. This sets the stage. She's got her little grandson there, Rhett. And so I said, you know what, this is going to be a balancing act, but that's how it is. Like sometimes you guys all know Bryce and Brielle, and I got to balance things and do different things. But here's the thing. It's just how we are. For those that have family, it's part of life, and it's how we grow and it's how we go. So this sets the stage for the podcast that we're going to be developing. It's going to be coming out. I got Greg, who's going to be helping me. And if anybody's looking for podcast info and the guru, Greg is the man that you guys need to talk to. And so he's going to be helping me, but it's raw, it's real. And we're going to share. And I told Wendy, I said, be as vulnerable as you want, share as much as you want. And we're going to run this thing to about 8:45. So without further ado, good morning, hon. How are you?
Good morning. I'm good. How are you?
Very good. Very good. So thank you for being on Figured Out Friday. And let's get ourselves started here. So the first question I have for you is your real estate career, right? We go back to what took place. But to me, what I want you to share with people is why and kind of like how you got into real estate. Because sometimes people don't understand like maybe a predicament that we're in. And I remember you telling me about your father and what was going on in your personal life with the kids and everything else. And you're like, what am I going to do? So kind of share with us a little bit about your why and how you kind of started real estate. You became very, very successful, making big time money, and then got into the Keller Williams type of thing. So kind of like walk us through that here. And remember, we have till 8:45. And I have about 5 more questions to ask.
I know. Yeah, you said, be vulnerable, share whatever, but we have 30 minutes. So, okay. So I'll give you the short version on all of these questions. So it was 2001, and it was July of 2001. And this is going to be quick, but at the time I had 3 children, 2 from a previous marriage and 1 from the marriage that I was currently in. When I had been hit for the last time. And the reason I want to say that it was July is because my first husband, whom I love and am still good friends with to this day, he had the older 2 kids at the beach that week. So I was home with just the baby, with Alexis. And so I called my dad. He knew some things were going on. I had never admitted the abuse, but he knew that I was going through some things down in Atlanta. And I just said to him, I said, Dad, I'm coming home. And he said, do you need me to come down there and help you pack? And I said, no, I'm going to load up the van and I'll get there. I knew that I had a short window of time. Every time abuse happens, I would typically have 2 or 3 days of the forgiveness portion of it. And so I knew that I had 2 or 3 days to get the stuff that the kids needed and get out of there. And so that's what I did. I fully anticipated him saying to me when I got to my parents, oh my God, I love you so much. I'm going to go to counseling and I'm going to get help and I'll never do that again. And he would come back and bring the white horse and save me. Right. But he didn't. He decided, and maybe he had been, I'm not sure, but we had a nanny at the time. And I guess he decided that he would just start over with her. So shortly after I got here with the 3 kids and told the older ones that they weren't going back home, I realized I wasn't either. So I didn't know what I was going to do. The only thing I'd ever done in my life prior to that moment was interior design. So my dad, being, the dad full of wisdom and a little girl still, even growing up, you're still the little girl that listens to everything your dad says. And my dad just said, Wendy, you're great with design work, but I don't think that you're going to make the money that you need to raise these kids with. He said, I want you to look into real estate. I didn't even know the first thing about real estate, what it meant to sell a house. I knew zero. But doing what he tells me to do, I signed up with Superior, and I was actually in real estate school when 9/11 happened. So that was September. So now I'm July moving back, and now September, well into a real estate class that I still didn't even understand. So
and then you got into real estate, you make a big splash, you start working hard, you meet Lisa, and Lisa and you are like best friends. You guys just went to Blowing Springs. You're making about $600,000, $650,000 because your why, your passion, things are going really good. Money is great. Everything's fine. Your why is like, I got to freaking raise these kids. I got to go through this. And I'm like, damn, like, look at this girl right here. And like, you keep going. And then you get this pipe dream and you want to become team leader at Keller Williams, right?
Well, you made it sound like that was all happened very yes. I started my career in 2001. I was the ninth agent to join Keller Williams in our area behind the four owners. So brand new agent, brand new company. My dad said, what are you doing? Join a new company. You know, you're a new agent, go to Allen Tate. And
I want to stop right there. Hold on a second.
okay.
Because people don't realize, I say it all the time. Your dad told you like, hey, what are you doing? Right?
Yeah.
See, it's our closest people, it's our family members that will deter us, distract us, and be like, yo, hey, what the hell are you doing? Like, that's stupid. I remember my mom telling me when I wanted to get out and teach, Brock, I don't know about that. Because people who love you want to protect you.
Yeah.
You have to be careful, everybody. And I say this with love because the people who love us want to protect us, but we have to go outside our bubble to grow.
Well, and once he realized why I joined Keller Williams, then he was fine with it. He just thought it was going to be a hard road to sell a new company. And
But you became successful. Hell, you became the team leader at Keller Williams.
Yeah, but yeah, I did, but it took time. So I joined Keller Williams 2001. Hired my first assistant, Lisa, who was my neighbor. It just was a perfect match. Within 30 days of the business, I had my first two listings and my first buyer. And I knew right away that if I had to handle the paperwork part of it, I would never make enough money to raise these kids because I suck at technology and paperwork. What I'm really good at is relationship building and running my mouth, for lack of a better word. So yeah, I learned that really quick. I had these three kids. I was getting no child support. I was fighting for full custody of Alexis, and because my ex was Australian, and I that's another story. He put her on a plane to Australia, which I can go into all that at another time. But going from 0 to 650,000, you made it sound so easy. It was not. Within probably year number 3, or no, it was later than that, maybe year 6, I decided to grow a team, and so I would handle the listings, and then I had team members that would handle the buyers. And I did that until 2015. So we made it through the real estate crash. My business was cut in half, but I had so much volume. It was still a very, very good business. And I base it completely to this day on relationships. So then 2015, my whole thing was always going to be ending as a team leader. Like, that was my dream. That was my dream job. I was damn good at it. And in 2015, I was hired to run the Cornelius Market Center, which I took that market center, 125 agents to 435 agents while I was there.
So, yes, I said certain things because I wanted to trigger the challenges that you went through. So you perfect. You're right on cue for what you needed.
Okay, good.
So now be a little cautious on this. Be sensitive when you say this, but I'm being sarcastic because many people on this call only know Brock Zevan, the motivation guy, the inspiration guy. Like, many people on here don't know drunk Brock. Many people didn't know jackass Brock. Many people didn't know ego, narcissistic, just like they're very self-centered. There's a couple people in my life who know me. You are one of them. So here I come. You and I come into Keller Williams. Share with people Don't have to elaborate too much. No, you can. On how I was, what type of person what I was. Like our relationship was very rocky. Like talk about that.
Yeah,
Meeting.
so my role as a team leader is to hire agents. I'm paid to hire and talent and attain it. Um so when people think of being a broker or team leader at other companies, it usually means that you're monitoring like everything that the agents are doing. That was not my job. My job was to help agents grow their business. Brock came in as he was an independent. He had his own company, his own firm. My job was to recruit. So I called it, just like he cold calls for sale by owners, I cold called agents. So he comes in, I didn't know him from Adam. He acted like, you know, he had swagger, like he thought he had it all going on. But I didn't know him. And so he joined, and right after that, it was kind of like the shit hit the fan. Like, I didn't know him to be a drunk. I didn't know that he was drunk. I didn't know he was drunk until years later, but I knew him to be a liar. We would have different contests going on in the office, and it irritated the shit out of me because I knew I had the numbers. I could prove the numbers. So if you told me you came in with 6 listings that week, I could see that you didn't. And that kind of stuff just kept happening. Rhett says hi. And it just irritated me. It just irritated me that you would manipulate any situation that we were in. But I didn't know that, when I bring on agents, it's like a feather in my cap, right? Like, oh yeah, I got this big team to join Keller Williams. What I didn't realize is the reason you joined is because of Lake Town Tavern next door, and they would put the alcohol in your coffee cup and you could come right into the office.
Back then, I called that very smart. I was very smart.
Irish coffee.
Yeah. So and I'll fast forward it, Brock, but that happened multiple times, like over and over and over and over and over and over again. And one day we were in the hallway together. I was walking up the stairs and you were walking down the stairs, and I just looked at you like different. I said, I don't know what you're doing, but keep doing it. You look good. And I had no idea at that time that he had stopped drinking, and he had been not drinking for 6 months when I said it.
Yeah.
Do you remember that day?
Oh no, I remember it to a T, because my sponsor, when I was drinking, I was, going through a lot of battles. Actually, it gets me a little emotional because I was like, it's a deep, deep, dark, spot that you're in. So like anytime you're like, oh God, I remember that very well. But I remember that time period because you said it when I was in AA, I wanted to tell everybody, whoa, look at me. I stopped drinking. Like I should get gold stars. And I remember I won't say the profanity words that he used, but he's like, oh, so you're now a normal effing dad and a normal effing husband and an effing worker. Like you want to go tell everybody? Like you don't say a single thing. Let people recognize it. And so when she said it, it was like, and she was the first person to say it to me. So resonated with me like, huh, wow, that actually works. So yeah, so not too many people got to see that. And I was going through that transition of being like, okay, because remember, for those that don't know, like Wendy and I didn't like each other at all. Like we zero,
there was zero things to like about you, honestly.
I wasn't helping the situation.
You did not help the situation. And I don't know why you didn't like me, but anyway. It was, so I would say that day in the hallway is when I noticed the difference. Then I started seeing a different person show up. Sorry, while there's a cat here, Rhett is down in the floor, manipulating all the cat hair in here. So I started noticing differences. So you started showing up at meetings, you started being truthful, you started sharing, you started to give back, you started teaching in the office. I asked you to join the ALC, which was our top elite group. And you got very serious about your business, and that was my passion, right? So, you know, you never knew how to grow a team. You added people to your bus, but they were never on the right spot, and they were just sitting there, you know what? And so we had to like take your bus completely apart and put it all back together, and that was a lot of fun and joy. I did that for you as well as a lot of other people in the office.
So we're going to fast forward. All right. We're now at Keller Williams. We're working together. Things are going well. I lost my license at the time, but you were a supporter. Now, one of the things we love about our relationship, Wendy and I, today is like, it truly is like, you know, a lot of times, and I say this, you know, we're all adults here, like you go out to drink, you get hammered, and then you go home to the bar that night and you hook up, and then you try to start talking to each other. And then you do that. You're like, oh, let's get married. But really what happens is it was the opposite. It's like in our relationship was we didn't like each other. We had to talk a lot. And then we started to get intimate in a relationship. See, it usually is, if you think about it, guys, you start with the intimacy first because you're drunk and you're doing silly things. And then you try to figure out the talking, which really doesn't, because you're still playing and partying and having a good time. And then when shit hits the fan and real life situations take up, you're like, well, I don't even know who this person is. Like, well, we've never gone through this before. So in our relationship, it was like, we didn't like each other. We had to go through some things. And then we started to talk more and get to that, but we had a big hiccup. And then within 7 to 9 minutes, we got to figure this thing out really quickly here. But that's why the podcast is going to be really good, is we get into it and I get kicked out of Keller Williams. And they're like, Brock, you got to go. You don't have a license. We're tired of dealing with you, because I was just a relentless mentality that I would show up. I don't care what was going on. People didn't like me. I had my license legally at South Carolina. You were the team leader. We had a lot of haters out there because people hated me. Then they started hating you. And then you had your own haters. So we both had haters. And so talk about, because here it is. You said to us earlier, I'm going to be a team leader and I'm going to sail off in the sunset and I'm just going to cruise right into retirement. My husband's he's a pharmaceutical guy. I'm making 6 figures. I'm doing this, and boom, the bomb is dropped and we're both kicked out of Keller Williams. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, that was, so, you know, women can be brutal, especially a lot of women that are high Ds. And so being a team leader and a successful agent, that's a typical characteristic, is being a DI, high DI, right? So as Brock started to give back to the office, we came up with a way to help me help him. And what I mean by that is he would do like lunch and learns and things like that. He would sponsor these classes all on his own, right? And invite all of these outside agents to come to his class because he was looking to grow his team. And I needed to grow the office. So I was supporting those endeavors because that was a win-win for me, being that I needed to hire agents to keep my job. But there were agents in that office that did not like the fact that I was supporting him, because by doing that, I don't know whether it was jealousy. I don't know whether it's their ego. I don't know whether I wasn't stroking theirs enough. I don't know. And when he lost his license, they kept trying to figure out like why I was helping him. But he was still coaching agents. So, you know, the more agents I could keep, the more agents that I could make money on in the business, right? So if he was going to coach them up to make them produce, then it's a win-win for everybody. But there were agents that didn't like that and thought that I had some kind of ulterior motive for helping him. So basically my OP, and that's like my boss, okay, came into my office. I was a black belt team leader every year. What that means is I hired at least 60 agents every year that I was there. So it was the top level of a team leader. So as far as my job, I was excellent at it. He came into my office and it was a complete shock and said, Wendy, there's women in this office that are never going to let you succeed. They're going to keep tearing you down and you're never going to quit. And he said, and that leaves me in a terrible predicament. I'm going to have to fire you. And I was like, because there's women that don't want to see me succeed. I know I had one of those agents came into my office and she said, you know why we don't like you? Because you laugh too loud in the office. So anyway, whatever. Yes. And not only, Wendy, are we firing you, but I've got to fire Brock because I cannot take any more of the chirping that's coming from the fact that he's still in business. I said, he has not gotten paid. We've not done one thing wrong. He moved his license to South Carolina. He still has a license in South Carolina. For those of you out of state, North and South Carolina, like there's tons of agents here that are also licensed in South Carolina because we're right on the border. And I said, and he's done nothing. He's been the number one person in this office to help us grow. But anyway, so he just really thought too that I would just go quietly and move my office and my team and just pick it back up and move into another office 15 minutes up the road. Yeah, you're fired, but you'll still work for me. I can still make money off of it. Same with, he fired you, and I won't say his name, and then said to you, but you can go to the university office because I still own that one too. And that way I can still make money off of you, Brock.
Well, and the other challenge here in a nutshell is I had 18 people on my team. And I remember my conversation because when I had 18 people on my team, it was the only way I could make money is I had to coach them up for them to do the appointments. And I said, he goes, I said, well, what about my team? He says, your team could stay. You have to leave. And I was like, well, that was the only way I was making money. And so long story short is basically all 18 people came with me. Wendy and I and the team go to EXP. And we go into EXP. It was the most challenging transition I've ever been in. I still had people following us. Wendy still had haters. I still had haters. I was trying to build an office. I had no money. I didn't have a pot to piss in, a window throw it out. I still didn't have my license, and we still had people who were filing the county when because I was updating the office, and I had to fight the county because they're like, "Where are your permits?" I'm like, I don't have permits. I'm just upfitting it. And we had people coming after us all the time. And it went like this for like almost a year and a half.
Yeah, but you forgot another part about that part of the story. So he fired me. It was one day in July. And I guess July is now I'm thinking about July it's always something big eventful coming in my life in July. Anyways, so he fired me in July. I had a 2-week vacation scheduled with my husband that year. I was taking him to Italy. So the person said, go ahead and, we'll let the office think that you're going on vacation. And then when you come back from vacation, you can just announce that you realize that you want to spend more time with your family. Because family is so important to you. And that's why instead of it coming out that I'm firing you, you're quitting, you're going to quit. Well, we came back from Italy on a Sunday, 2 weeks later. And on Friday, my husband of 15 years said, I don't want to be married anymore. I just don't. So now I don't have a job. I haven't sold real estate in more than 5 years because I've built wealth for the owners of the company instead of myself. And now I don't have a marriage.
Yes,
That was fun.
that was the real fun part. And meanwhile, back at band camp, back on the farm and I'm going through a divorce as well. I don't have still any money. My house is being foreclosed on, living in a country club mentality. And you and I are like, okay, this is really fun. And so I'm going to need a thumbs up, guys, because I'm going to need about 9 more minutes. So if you guys are good with this, staying on, you got 9 more minutes with us because I got one more question to go through with us. So give us a thumbs up if you're still okay. And if you want to be part of our podcast, you got to put your email in here so I can send it to you. So you could be the first ones, but you got to give me a thumbs up to say that you're okay to keep listening to our story because I got one more question of where we are today. So thank you for all the loves and the hearts and everything else. So we're good. So plus it's Friday. Okay. So I'm going to go a little bit. It's the last one of the year. Last one of the year. Last one of the year. So divorce, losing jobs. It's like a debacle in our lives. We're going through things and Wendy and I, like, we're still not in a relationship, guys. Like we are not in a relationship. She doesn't like me. I'm a distraught mess because like I'm in so much stress at this time.
No,
with my job.
that's not. Well, that's not true. I do. I mean, I like you now. It's not that I didn't like you.
I didn't say, I know, I'm saying then at that time period.
Yeah.
Like you liked me, but we weren't in a relationship.
We weren't in a relationship. I liked you and I thought that it was shitty with what had happened. So we were kind of like clumped together because we were in this shitty pot, you know?
Right.
And we'd all gone to EXP, but for the most part, so I moved in to my house. So that was the the 1st of August. I moved into my house the 1st of September. And I don't come into the EXP office because I can't get myself out of the bed. I mean, I'm completely and utterly depressed beyond measure.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Oh yeah. No, and so you're going through that depression of going through that. And so I was building strength and support from you because we were always together at Keller Williams because I was like, okay, what we have. And then we go to EXP and then like, I really don't see you anymore. And then a bomb's dropped on me. I got 18 people that I'm trying to manage. You try to onboard 18 people back then in EXP world 3 years ago. They were just getting themselves situated. It was a debacle mess. I got permit people coming after me. And then I was feeling for you. I was like, I haven't even seen you. And you're going through this depression. You're going through all this. And see, guys, the reason why we share our story is because we are ups and downs. We think life's great. And the next thing you know, shit hits the fan. We think life's great. We get ourselves and then we're back down again. And we go down. Wendy and I do a very good job. We make sure we're completely flat down on the ground. Life really hits us and people are stepping on us of where we are. We're like, oh my gosh. And so like in today's world, why people are like, boy, he's handling that pretty well. She's handling that pretty well because they don't know. That's why I tell people you don't judge a book by its cover because you don't know their pages. You don't know their chapters. You have no clue. I did a post the other day of when people don't judge people for their choices because you don't know their options. People don't know that type of stuff. So here we are. I start to like you now. Okay.
Can I back up just for a second? I know that I know we're way behind. You know, I can't do this in 30 minutes. So I would have my son 1 week on and 1 week off, which I've never been without a child. Like I've never gone through that in my entire life. I've always had my kids. So on the week that I didn't, and he did that, so he didn't have to pay me. But anyways, I have him full time now, so everything's good. But that week I didn't have him. I literally stayed in bed the whole week. And then I would have food packages dropped off at my door and little notes from Brock. Just get up, just do something, just go walk around the block and then go back to bed. Just fight. You're better than this. You can do this. And that's how things started. Like, who does that? Who does that?
I'll get a sip of coffee on that.
Oh, that was so sweet. I'm going to have a coffee.
So I'm starting to like you and we're starting to puzzle piece this thing together. in real estate, our world. You're going through some crazy times. You're still trying to get some clarity in life. And in my world, I'm nesting. My divorce has been a challenge. Okay, me and my ex-wife right now, we get along phenomenal with our kids. Like we're really good with our kids. You get us outside of that. Remember, there's two fights with divorces: finances and kids. And you could see where the other one was. So there was a lot of challenges I was going through. Had to sell my house, foreclosure, cars repossessed. I mean, I'm still in the mulk of not having a license. Okay. 2020 comes in, or 2019, 2020. And guess what? We got COVID. Like everything was just every single scenario. It's like being on a sailboat with no wind and you're stuck out there. And you're like, well, what else are you going to do? Well, people always ask me many times, and they ask us, and we've got this title, and I'm not big into titles, but we've been titled a power couple. And they'd be like, well, how are you guys? Like, how did you do this? And you guys hear me all the time. I'm like, I don't know. I get a freaking oar and I start rowing. I'm not going to wait for the wind. I'm just going to keep rowing. Wendy, let's grab some oars and let's go. And that's kind of like our mentality in our life of just like, we just going to keep going. So here we are. We're going to fast forward a little bit, guys. And so Wendy and I start getting more involved and we get into a relationship. And now our businesses are going good and she's doing well in business. We got ourselves out of some of the clouds and everything else, but life is still happening. I have two young kids. I have a 4-year-old and a 10-year-old. Wendy's out of the kids, guys. Their youngest is Duncan, who's 16, 17 now. And I got a 4-year-old. Okay. So, how many times have we heard, I got some package. I come with some packages, right? But then she's got grandkids. So here was the question I have. Okay. So in the last 6 to 9 months, Wendy and I were like, everybody on Facebook, like, man, you guys are amazing, blissful and everything else. And the reason why I wanted to wait till the very end. Okay. And we still haven't shared with you some of the details. And that's why the podcast will have more of it. But we're both drivers. Okay. We both take love languages. We both take our DISC personality. We actually just recently took it. Sarah Bates with her lending team. I went over to her office and they did it. And it's so very important. So I'm going to tell all of you to take the love language quiz. But we're both drivers in the DISC. We both have what's our love language? Our number one, what was acts of service.
I was like, wait.
We have both acts of service. But here we go. Okay. Sometimes we draw conflict and our plates are extremely full. I got 2 kids. You have 4 kids. You have 3 grandkids. All right. Both of our parents are extremely sick. Wendy's parents they struggle with just physically moving, can't even walk. Okay. Showers have to be given. She's down there several times a day, several times a week, taking care of them. Sometimes several times a day. My dad's, you see our posts, my dad's in the hospital. I'm not even going to get into the conversation I had with my mother last night. And she was crying for 45 minutes. I thought the worst pain is seeing my kids cry when they're sick, for those that have kids. The second worst pain I found out last night is your mother crying and you can't help her. That was a very hard conversation because I'm like, I don't, and I'm a fix-it person. So here I am trying to figure out how to help my mom when she's crying. And I'm just like, I don't know. Okay, I'll figure this out. But anyways, so we're in real estate. I'm in coaching. I'm doing 2 jobs. I don't know about you, but we don't have any special material that says you guys are going to be okay in 2023 in your business. Wendy and I just talked about our business. Like, Brock, what are we going to do for our business? Like we have to have this conversation because the forecast is not different for us. There's still negativity going into 2023, but she does about 20 different things during the day. She's balancing kids. I'm working on 2 jobs. And guess what? I talked about it earlier this week, guys, thriving and surviving. Okay. I'm surviving. And right now, Wendy and I had some challenges because of quality time. So Wendy, in a nutshell, if you could tell us a little bit about like what it's like the last 6 months, balancing all this stuff and me really being MIA because I'm doing my thing, you're doing your thing. Yet we had a pretty good conversation 2 days ago.
We did. So I have always been acts of service. So I didn't understand at first what was happening to me. I was getting very frustrated and I was getting very sad, and I was going into my own, like, well, I'll just do this myself, blah, blah, blah mentality. And I realized that my love language has changed to quality time, and my love tank was empty. And I support you, like, that I've supported every decision that you've made as far as trying to get the coaching company going and doing real estate. And I'm a huge supporter of family. So, when you have the kids and things like that, like, but I wasn't getting anything back. And so we had to figure out what we needed to do to get back on track. And I think that goes back to when you started this, you said, most people start with lust and then they find, or then they love. And, but the thing about us that I think makes it work so well and so special is that we learned how to communicate a long time ago. And communication is what we have more than anything, like way more than anything. So it was just peeling that onion back and diving back into, who we are as two separate people and who we are together. And I think that the communication can be very powerful when you speak the same language. I tell my kids, my married kids, I tell Duncan, who's 17, like, you know what, take the DISC test, take the love language test, know who you are so that you understand what it is that you need out of life. Because if you don't know who you are, you walk around and you can't get fulfilled because you don't even know what you are, what you need.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that answers your question.
No, I mean, and two things we'll take away because we're going to close up because we will.
Yeah,
stop
I got to go check on Rhett. He's probably out there in the pool. I don't know. Oh, there's Luke. Can you
There's one of them.
Please find your brother.
So when it comes time, one of the biggest things I told you, I have an ego driven. Okay. When we go through and the reason why I'm sharing this with you is because we're somebody on here. When we do this, I and Wendy, and every time I do Figure It Out Friday, we will not change your life. We will trigger something inside of your brain to make you reflect and think about today and being like, maybe I need to dive a little bit deeper with them. Maybe I need to reach out to them. Maybe I need the help because our ego thinks us that we don't need the help because I thought all the time, strength, I'm not going to show my weakness. I'm a very strong individual and I'm not going to do it. And what I learned is that when I become vulnerable, when I put my ego and I place it on the shelf and sometimes it wants to come back at me during the day, that's when the bad things take place. And I was like, who am I? And my buddy Justin Ford did a post the other day and I was telling Wendy, he is disciplined in everything else. And I said, I'm disciplined in everything else. But where I lack discipline is in relationships. Hence why I've been a transactional based real estate agent all my life is because I never was really good at relationships throughout my entire life. So instead of, as I shared with you all earlier, instead of just coming up with excuses, instead of just saying, well, you know what, I'm not going to deal with Wendy and I'm going to walk out the door. I mean, we're not married. Hell, who cares? I'll just figure it out and I'll just do my own thing. And many things came into play, but we don't pause and reflect. And you and I, we sat down, we had lunch the other day for 3 hours. We talked about it and we focused just once on the problem. Because in the book, The Secret, you say you put your problems down and then you focus on the solution. Many people take their energy and they keep focused on the problem. Yeah, but they do this and they do this and they do this and I can't stand this and this. No, write the problem down once. Don't talk about it again. Figure out solutions.
Yeah. You don't look in the rearview mirror. You look out the windshield.
Yes. So guys, it's 8:59. Wendy, what can you tell people going into 2023 for those that are on here still? And thank you so much for being on here for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And
thanks,
Kelly
guys.
that just came on and everybody that's been on here. Tell them something for those that might be struggling, for those that might be challenged, for those that might be like, I don't know, I got this going on, I got this, and what was me and the victim? How do you go? As James Sharp was on here, from victim to victor, what would you send off people with in 2023?
I think you have to start with yourself, right? So you can't look for happiness or love or anything from anybody else until you know exactly what it is about you that you need. And so if you do nothing else from this call, go online and take the love language quiz and figure out what it is that you need, and share with your children, your significant other, share that with them. That will grow your relationships hugely.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I concur. Listen, guys, if you like this, if you liked what you're hearing with Wendy, give her this, like, even though we talk all the time, she was a little nervous. I was a little nervous because I was like, okay, I was like, she's going to have maybe a Zoom problem or anything else, like what can come from it. And if you loved what we had out here, please give us some hearts, give us some loves on Facebook. Thank you so much, Patty and Kelly and Elizabeth and Karen and Christian. If you loved us on Facebook, give us some hearts and loves. It's how we feel off of this. This is how we want to help people. We want to inspire people. We want to be able to take people to the next level. Her and I are doing a power couple retreat for people at the end of this year to help people who are going through separation, going through divorce, going through these challenges. We're going to be doing this more and more because we literally grow through this, guys. Like, literally, we're not any different. We have problems and challenges, and we have to come home to each other, and not because we have to, but we want to. And we work together, and we understand when marriages are tough. We understand when relationships are tough. So if you want to be part of our podcast, if you did not get into and put the email on here, our podcast will start next week. It's the real law life of Brock Zevan and what goes on with me and the people in my circle. And Wendy obviously is in my circle. So if you want it, you got to make sure you put your email in here so we can give you updates on it. Kelly, thank you. All those that
Thanks,
said that on
guys.
here.
I've got a mess happening. I got to go.
Thank you all, guys. I appreciate you all out here.